How have the virtues that are praised changed over time? Presentation by Joanna Hernandez. Virtues are characteristics that societies praise and influence. Virtues can be defined as a behavior showing moral high standards or as a quality or habit that is considered morally good or desirable. Examples of moral virtues, but are not limited to, are honesty, courage, compassion, generosity, fidelity, which is also known as loyalty, integrity, fairness, self control, and prudence, also known as wisdom. Virtues can be confused with a couple of things, and I just wanted to list a couple things to clear this out of the way to make it easier to understand throughout the presentation. Virtues are not ethics. While virtues are seen as acts of character of a person that are morally good, ethics is a system of principles that contains broader aspects of what is right or wrong in human behavior and decision making. And like I said previously, virtues are not fixed, so characteristics can vary. And in this presentation, I do not speak on all the virtues that have been present in history and today, but just keep an open mind that there's many that I do not speak about. And virtues are linked to morals and not ethics. Non virtuous acts are based on greed, hatred, and delusion, anything that causes pain and suffering. Examples of non virtuous acts are dishonesty, lying, stealing, killing, sexual misconduct, idle talk. These are also characteristics that you could view as negative when a person is presenting them. Philosophers' idea on virtues. Each philosopher believed that there was a group of virtues that were needed to be followed in order to reach the highest potential in life. True happiness and fulfillment would be acquired if following each virtue, which in their eyes was necessary for living a good life. Socrates and Plato believed in similar ideas of virtue. So Socrates believes wisdom, courage, justice, and self control were the main virtues to be followed. And Plato believed that courage, moderation, wisdom, and justice were the main virtues, which, as you can see, these are the same virtues, just worded a little differently. And then Aristotle, on the other hand, believed prudence, with justice, temperance, and courage were the main virtues in order to live a good life. They're not that different, but they have their differences, which show in how they believed in their virtues. So these are theories on virtues, and these are a couple that I have collected. These are not all of them, but I chose ones that we could possibly remember from history or ones that we see today. So, Stoicism is the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. An ancient philosophy founded by Zeno of Cyzicum, which encourages people to live virtuous lives by developing self control and reason. It originated in ancient Greece and Rome. Eudaimonism is a theory that the highest ethical goal is happiness and personal well being, known as eudaimonia. The Greek approach, introduced by Aristotle, presented that the highest good is within each person's well being. In Christian virtue, the unique biblical characteristics given as commands by Jesus to love God and to love each other. The cardinal virtues in the Bible were influenced by Plato and enforced by the Bible in order to reach God's grace. Why do moral virtues change over time? Core virtues that societies praise have changed over time due to changes in culture, economy, and technology. Over many centuries, different virtues have gained importance while others are not followed or forgotten. Many virtues do remain constant, like courage, wisdom, restraint, and justice. Reasons why virtues change. Number one, adapting to survival changes like natural disasters, poverty, and war. This can be seen throughout our history, in the US history, and I could I show a couple examples in the next slide. So, number two is technological and economic changes like introduction of cars, factory machinery, and phones, etc. Number three, changes in power structures like democracies, monarchies, and even theocracy. Number four, cultural and social evolution, like new morals being introduced depending on the needs of the society. And number five, religious and philosophical evolution, which this can be presented by the rise and the fall of many religions and philosophical evolution, like introduction of enlightenment thinkers, etc. Specific instances in which virtues changed in history. During ancient Greece and Rome, virtues like wisdom and reason were made essential virtues during this time because of the philosophers Socrates and Confucius, who influenced rational thought. With the rise of many religions, such as Christianity and Islam, faith and obedience became a few of virtues praised during the medieval era. Compassion and individualism were introduced to encourage art, scientific research, and findings of new knowledge during the Renaissance era. Throughout the 19th and 20th century, during the movement of civil rights, feminism, and workers' rights, equality and justice were praised. Today, in the 21st century, self expression is used to present a person's true self instead of conforming to culture and religious traditions in society. Why did these changes occur in oneself? More understanding does not only change as someone matures, but also as someone ages. One's interests and values may change, for example, when you become a parent or retire. If one lives in survival, these values tend to be out of reach because the basic needs need to be met. Human psychologists believe that someone's personal interests and values are buried under over time as social norms like demands and expectations. When these interests are pushed away, it's part of the human journey to rediscover these innate personal desires. Evolution of virtues. The classical era, virtues like courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice were seen. Then in the Middle Ages, faith, humility, obedience, honor, loyalty, and charity were praised. Then during the Renaissance and Enlightenment era, curiosity, creativity, rationality, liberty, justice, and self expression were seen. Then during the 20th century, equality, freedom, and tolerance were seen. 20, the 21st century, which we are living through today, authenticity, privacy, flexibility, diversity, empathy, and respect are seen. And I want to express that these virtues are pretty new to our history because of the changes in technology. The technology that we have today is not something that we had access to back then. So, especially with social media, there are things that we have had to change in order to live up to our social standards. Like, for example, when a social media influencer goes online and does something wrong, considered in our society, we call that like canceling them. So we want them to take accountability for what they have done, and then we want them to present their authentic self to society. And like changes in diversity and religion, we all want to be able to be empathetic to everybody and their differences and what they go through, no matter what and where they come from. And with being that, that comes with respecting that person. Like during the classical era, the religious and influence of philosophers came about these virtues. Then in the Middle Ages, faith and obedience, honor, loyalty came with Christian morality. Then the Renaissance and Enlightenment era came with um, the curiosity and creativity in order to build on the ideas and knowledge that they had previously had. And then during the 20th century, this comes with the democracy and civil rights movement. So all this has led to what we are today and how we carry ourselves as a society. So in our century, the 21st century, ethics in the digital world, number one, is one of the most important virtues that we see in our society today. Then, for number two, work balance and well being was something that we'd never really seen before because we praise being able to work and have our own lives on the side, to be able to be our own people, but also have an income to continue surviving. Number three, critical thinking and open mindedness. This comes with being able to appreciate and be open to different cultures and religions because how diverse our world is today. Back then we didn't really see this, so today we really try to push this to be able to respect everybody around us. Which this leads into number four, social awareness and activism. Today, we are expected to speak on what is wrong, especially in our country, and we are expected to be informed of what is going around us, what's happening around us, because we as people have power to change our country and our world. So this comes with the effects of, let's say, um, with like the polar bears going extinct and things like that. Um, so our society prioritizes social involvement, transparency, accountability, empathy, and inclusivity. We're also expected to maintain mental resilience and be able to adapt to our environment. Lastly, to be able to speak up for our environment. While doing all of this, we are expected to have a mental state where we are able to take all of this in but not let it out on the next person. in our path. So, there are many ways we can view virtues today because of how much we have evolved throughout history, but there will always be virtues that remain constant throughout all these centuries. While faith, hope, and love remain important when it comes to our virtues, some have gained and lost such importance due to economic, technological, and cultural change. Our virtues praised today resembles our morals and what we need and search for as a society.